Hello, everyone, and welcome to BryceBits, where you can get a little bit of wisdom. I'm Bryce Newberger. I'm a pastoral mentor with side-by-side counseling based in Arizona. Let's dive on in. We are going back into Am I the A-hole? And let's read this one. Am I the a-hole for pointing out my girlfriend's bad hygiene? Advice needed. I, male 28, have been with my girlfriend, female 27, for 7 months now and went full exclusive 3 months ago. That's interesting. You've been with them for 7 months, went full exclusive 3 months. So that tells me you were dating other people for 4 months of your relationship. Okay, it's an interesting way to start. She's everything, smart, kind, caring, and drop-dead gorgeous to me. Well, it obviously took you 4 months to really come to that conclusion, I guess, but maybe you were surrounded by other smart, kind, caring, drop-dead gorgeous people for 4 months. That seems weird. If she's all that, then why did it take you 4 months to come to that conclusion? However, she has worse hygiene than a Neanderthal. She lives in a studio. Oh, here we go. She lives in a studio apartment, so it's small. Since started dating her, I avoided spending time there because it's always dirty. But I never said anything because it's her place. She does not shower often and has strong body odor. Like, bad enough that I won't have sex with her unless she's recently showered. Here's where it gets bad. I'll be honest, it already sounds pretty bad. She came to my place and didn't bring any feminine hygiene products. I have to run to the store at 3 a.m. to get her stuff because she's been wearing the same pad for so long it leaked onto my bed. Wow, that is disgusting. I didn't say anything as she stressed. The next day I came home from work and her pad from the previous night and saw the pad is what I'm guessing, from the previous night on the bathroom floor without even wrapping it. Ugh. I was pissed. I called her out and said, hey, that's gross. I don't want to look at that while I go to use the bathroom. That's very true. I was pissed and called her out and she said, hey, that's gross. Okay. She got really mad and said I called her gross. I clarified that having a period is not gross and it's a natural thing, but leaving a bloody pad on the floor of someone's home is nasty. Yes, that do be nasty. She lost it. She said made her feel gross and bad. Was an a-hole here for calling her out? Okay. No, I would say let's just there's a lot here. I would say that if someone is smart and kind and caring and drop dead gorgeous, that's great. But there's plenty of fish in the sea. And one thing that I think people do when they're dating is there can be a non sequitur in the vetting process. Dating should be vetting someone that you're looking to commit to. That's what a healthy relationship would aim at. So when you're asking for advice, I'm going to point you towards a healthy relationship. Already, this doesn't seem like a healthy relationship because you were dating other people for 4 months, yet you've been together for 7 months. That's a no for me, dog. But so the BO is one thing. I have been around the block a lot. I have seen all sorts of people just in my time of counseling and ministry and all of the things that I do. I've seen, especially I was a youth pastor for a long time. Well, compared to other youth pastors, a short time, but for years I was a youth pastor, and I've seen kids grow up, and sometimes I was like, they're like, this girl just needs to figure out some hygiene. And then now she's in college, she's much older, she's getting married, and she still has flies buzzing around her. And it's just her lifestyle, and she found someone who's okay with that. There are people who are just kind of more like that. They don't shower as much. They want more of that grungy kind of aesthetic, right? I mean, geez, the boomers would have called them hippies, So that just might be her. Now, it's fair for you to clarify your boundaries. You guys are going to hear me say that in a lot of videos. And having, I'll just be honest, as far as society is concerned, whatever she wants to do, that's fine in her place. But I mean, in your place, that is gross. Like, that is disgusting. And for me, that's not good. Like, if I was dating someone and this was the kind of occurrence, or even just the bad body odor was common, I would just be like, this person's not for me. They might be smart, they might be kind, they might be caring, and gorgeous, but there's other smart, kind, caring, gorgeous people out there who we're going to fit better and not necessarily be a bad match. I think really here it looks like you two have two different personalities. That what the kind of person she is with that, because that kind of BO, not showering, all of that really doesn't seem like, especially at 27. She's 27 years old. So this is something that is, I believe, going to be a part of her personality, at least for now. When I'm looking at getting in a long committed relationship with someone, I mean, I'm happily married now, but when I was in the dating pool, I would ask, okay, does this person have a feature about them that I would want to change? And if I can't live with it. And if it is, it's not my job to change it. It's my job to move on, to find someone else, because that's a piece of them and their personality. It makes them unique. Now, she does need some training on, like, I would say, etiquette. And so you didn't call her gross. You said it was gross. And that, I think there's some communication there where you can communicate, hey, like you said, I'm not calling you gross, but that is gross, and that's not acceptable. And when she tries to pitch a fit and say, well, you don't understand, like, you know, like, you've called me gross, all this. Well, that's gaslighting. Like, that's gaslighting behavior. What she's doing is you have raised a valid complaint, and she is trying to conquer your complaint with her own whining and like accusing you. That's the other thing too, is she didn't hear your complaint. She jumped to an accusation. So instead of listening to, you know, your boundary of, hey, like, you can't leave that stuff on the floor around me. When she jumps to, you called me gross, you're a jerk, all of that, that's all accusatory. That's not good relationship ground. So I would say you are definitely not an a-hole, but I would also say that she isn't really either, not just based on this one little interaction here. I see you've got some updates, so we'll get to those. But I would say that she has some very negative communication patterns, and if this is how she always communicates, then yeah, you could label her an a-hole, and you should move on. Let's see some of these updates. So here we go. Okay, update almost a month later. As many of you had pointed out, there was a lot more to the issue than simply her being a slob. She is now getting professional help for her mental health. Okay, issues and trauma from early childhood. Yep, okay. She's been through enough to break any person. I'm grateful for those who suggest that her mental health be checked, and also grateful I didn't run from her as like many were suggesting. Okay, that's interesting. We'll talk about that. A lot has improved. Hygiene-wise, she's doing amazing. She, of course, needs some reminder and encouragement, but she gets things done. And relationship-wise, we're both happier. Okay. New update. All right. We broke up. It's over. Well, that was a rubber band. She had a major meltdown a day ago and accused me of forcing her to get help for things that she doesn't want help for, and accused me of controlling her. We're going to circle back. We're going to circle back on that. She gave me an ultimatum, and I don't do ultimatums. Instead of calmly explaining her point, okay. She gave me an ultimatum, and I don't do ultimatums. Instead of calmly explaining her point. That's a weird sentence. So I told her goodbye and good luck, and she left and told me to go F myself. Well, okay. Let's talk about, okay, we'll get to some of the comments here in a second, but let's talk about it. Okay, so what I was saying before is there might be things in her personality. Like I said, I've seen people where she, you know, like 27 years old, not doing hygiene, as someone who is trained in just various elements of helping people and has experience doing that. Someone who's read a lot of the literature on trauma, cognitive behavioral therapy, the body keeps score, internal family systems, right? If you go read this literature, if you will listen to the podcasts, bad hygiene doesn't really pop up as a trauma response. that, I mean, it can be severe, severe depression if she's living in that. But when you described her as smart, kind, caring, these kind of personality traits that you were identifying her with don't necessarily point out that she, like, I didn't read anything that mentioned massive depression in here. I read that there's a smart, kind, caring, drop dead gorgeous person who is kind of a hippie, right? Is kind of boho, like bohemian. And so, when you said, hey, you're like, she's getting professional for her mental health and she's got trauma. We've all got trauma, like, right? We've all got problematic childhood memories. I think counseling is important for everyone. Right? She's been through enough to break any person. I love your heart there. I love your compassion. That's really good. Getting mental health checked is always important, but like I said, I think this is more of just kind of a boho person, a bohemian person, like a kind of a hippie lifestyle, someone who doesn't really want to shower as much. She will probably move on and find a boho boyfriend, someone who is also like not washing their clothes, probably living in a Volkswagen van with some shag carpet rug, like, I don't know. And she'll probably be a much happier person. It really does seem like there is some incompatibility there. So I kind of agree with her, where, like, forcing her to get help, right? There's something in that. Why did she feel like you were forcing her to get help? What is that? How did you go about that process? There can be harm and manipulation and gaslighting and all of these terms that are so clickbaity can happen when you're pushing someone to get help for a problem that's a problem for you, that's not a problem for them. And I have a problem with that. So you guys broke up. I think that's for the best. I think that, like I said, she's going to go find someone who's boho and have a great time with them and probably have a much better, healthier relationship. Also, I see a lot of problems in your relationship, right? A lot. So one I'd say is, you said you were dating other people for 4 months. You describe yourself that you've been with her for 7 months, exclusive for 3, right? So there's something there, right? Like, a woman's not a car. You don't test drive them and rent them before you're deciding if you're going to buy them. This is not how you treat an individual. And I know, as far as keep in mind, I'm a pastor, right? So that's where I'm coming from. So I'm not going to fit in with the culture and the community. But I will continue to say a woman's not a car, right? Like, don't give her a test drive. And so there's already some issues with your commitment. And at the end, she gave an ultimatum. You didn't tell us what the ultimatum was. I would have been curious to know what that is, but also her ultimatum could just be that she needs help with her communication style. You need help with your communication style. We all do. We're not all fantastic communicators. So if someone communicates in a way that sounds like an ultimatum, that even doesn't necessarily mean it is an ultimatum. It could just be the way that they're expressing themselves in the moment. It's worth sitting on, hearing them. And what you basically told her is, I don't hear you, goodbye, good luck. You threw her out like a dirty dish rag. That's harsh. That's rough. So I don't really like that. So I do think that you have some a-hole tendencies. I don't think she has really much in here that would label her an a-hole. I think she's just needs manners, better manners. Bad manners does not the a-hole make. So let's read some of the comments and I'll wrap us up here. Let's see here. As a woman, that's not only gross but unacceptable. I agree. It is gross and it's unacceptable. So, right. And that's the hard part in your post, is the issue you raised we can speak to, but there was much deeper issues. You're not going to change her behavior. Yes, I think that's proved to be true. She's past caring. That also proves to be true. If she allows you to see this before you're married, it will continue. Nothing will change. NTA. I agree with this person, Dadana, D4DANA. But I agree. There's some elements here. Now, I will say that while her personality won't change, her hygiene won't change, you can alter small things like, hey, change your pad. Like, gross, don't leave that on the floor. Like, that's gross. So I do think there's hope for her to make small changes, right? So she's not going to show up one day looking like, Gail Godot or something, where she's, like some sort of supermodel who's just, washed and cleansed and perfect and, all that. But I do think there's a personality element here, but you can make small changes, just tiny things. NTA at all. As you are saying, periods are not gross, but how you handle the products you need to wear during those days should definitely be with consideration, respect for yourself and those around you. And I will say it didn't show a lot of respect for herself. You got to be careful. You were right in calling her out. She's old enough to understand that what she did was disgusting. Yeah, I do think she should have understood that was disgusting. As a woman, I kind of understand how she would be wearing a pad that was already leaking, not having, this whole issue. And yeah, so I'd say there's one more. Unhygienic. Ew, should not be. She would not be my girlfriend. Yeah, she wouldn't be mine either. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, here's an interesting take. I think people sometimes make too big a deal of periods, but leaving any sort of bloody product on the floor is kind of gross. I don't think he was making too big of a deal. He got blood on his sheets, which is fine. That happens. But when it's because the pad's not been changed for days, like, that's not okay, right? I don't even understand how you can do that. You might have phrased it slightly differently. That's true. It's communication style. But the bigger violation by a wide margin is that product on the floor. Yeah, it's gross. Guys, this has been AITH. If you found this interesting, if you want some advice from me, you can go to sidebysidecounselingaz.com and schedule a free 15-minute consultation with me. We can just chat. It's free for 15 minutes and figure out if we're a good fit. If we're not, maybe I can recommend you to someone else and maybe even someone more qualified than myself. But that's been it for now. I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.